Hey there. Let's see if this is all working. We're still testing all this out. So, just checking out the channel here, see if it's working on the YouTube station. We got a couple of people showing up tonight. Looks like Brian's going to try to make it again, and then Evan Moore. Probably a lot of you guys know Evan quite a bit. He seems to be around gaming and knows people, and in general, just a real positive, friendly dude. So hopefully they arrived. Okay, hold on a second. Looks like Evan is trying to get in. So let's see. We can do it this way. Hold on. I think I can. He's having trouble already, so here we go. Sorry, this is sorry, that is this is not a professional organization. What? So yeah, we'll be talking about MCon once we get all this figured in. So I hope everybody had a good MCon, Millennium Con. I saw quite a few people there, and it seemed to be, I guess, the biggest that we've had for a while. And oh, here we go. Boom. There it is. Add to stream.
Hey, Matt.
How
you doing?
Good.
I should have noticed the other one was labeled test. The other room.
No, test. Great. Yeah. I think Brian's gonna join here. So let me send in the right link.
Sure.
Man, my brain is fried, dude. I'm working so much, like learning so much technology about this stuff. Like I'm working with cameras and lighting and
oh, really?
And this streaming thing, I just kind of like, why not try?
Yeah, why not?
No, I was just like, these other guys are doing it in other places, so why not? So, all right, I just sent Brian the link. Man, we look good on this, don't we? Wow, we look awesome.
Yeah, we're looking pretty good. Thankfully, I work from home, so I have a webcam and a Blue Yeti mic and stuff. So,
oh, dude, my stuff is. You should see. I got I have little coffee tables and a main table, and like I have 4 little cameras on here. Wait, can you see it? Look at this. Like,
yeah, there we go.
Like, and I got a laptop over here to check YouTube, and dude, it's I'm trying to figure out what USB cable I need, and
right. Oh, that's a nightmare. Thankfully, Amazon exists these days. You can just quickly get a cable going.
Absolutely. All right, let's just see if Brian showed up yet. Okay, maybe not. So, well, let's chat wargaming because that's why we're here, right? So,
yeah.
how was your Millennium Con?
It was pretty good. I was a little disappointed in some of the games I played because the game masters didn't know the rules like at all in some cases. Like one game, we weren't allowed to play in the buildings because we didn't know the building rules. And another game, the gentleman, I think he just, I think he made like a house rule, homebrew set of rules probably like 2 days before the con and threw together some scenarios. So, I mean, statistically, like the math just didn't make any sense. And unfortunately, I wasn't alone in that feeling. So after 2 of those games, I kind of stopped playing games. I played one really good game, actually by Ray. I can't remember his last name. It was a Boxer Rebellion game using the Men Who Would Be Kings.
So I want to talk to you about that.
That was a really fun game. That was really good. That was definitely the highlight for me.
Dude, if I could have jumped into any game, it would have been that one. That looks really cool. I got some good pictures. I didn't prep them yet, but that's. And you know, another thing is I talked to the guy Ray.
I can't remember his last name, but it's Ray's his first name. Yeah.
Right. Let's not even dare to do his last name because it was very difficult.
Yeah.
But I talked to him. He lives in West Houston, and he's up for coming down and running that. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So hopefully we can entice him to come on down and run it. But
absolutely, that'd be. It was. I'm telling you, Matt. The scenario was brilliant because like the whole table was in play. It wasn't like a standard like maybe a World War II game, where it's like I start here, you're here, and we kind of grind at each other. Like there was Chinese militia peasants popping up all over. Like there was a moving objective with the trains, and then I could cut rail lines. And have you played The Men Who Would Be Kings before?
Yeah, a couple times, and I have the rules. And actually, I'm working towards building a French-born Legion Arabs game shortly. So
lovely. So he introduced a card activation mechanic with a random end turn element to it. So your brigade, you never knew when your brigades were going to be activated, and you also the turn could end before you got a chance to activate all of them. And it added another level of unpredictability to it that I felt suited that scenario very well.
That's interesting. Wait a minute. So, wait, I'm sorry. I'm still trying to.
You're good.
How did he do the whole there's like an end of turn thing you mentioned?
Yeah, so there's 2 end of turn cards in the deck. So there's a card for every brigade. You flip it and it would be like, okay, you activate, the 3rd Chinese whatever brigade. So I could activate those 3 or 4 units. And then there was also a wild card, so you could activate 1 or 2 of any unit. And then there's another wild card where you could activate the same unit again if you wanted to. Any one unit you could activate another time. And then on top, so all those cards were in the deck, and there were 2 end turn cards. So the first one's like a warning, so you draw it, but you keep drawing cards. But then the second end turn card shows up, the turn ends, and we reshuffle the decks and keep going.
Oh, okay. So, well,
a lot of games there's a lot of games that have that end turn kind of mechanic, but it fit the scenario really well because it was supposed to be really chaotic, unpredictable. It's the Boxer Rebellion big battle. I mean, that fits pretty well.
Unorganized troops, masses of mobs and stuff. Like
that. It was my Mongolian cavalry ran down a bunch of French. It was great.
Well, you know what's funny is filming that was difficult because it was so long. And you're right, there was troops on the edge I was standing at. There was all these like Chinese national. I forget it, but it covered the whole table. But in general, it looked really cool. And I like that dynamic where you don't know if a unit's going to activate. I used to not like the whole fuzziness, but it seems, especially in a game like that where crappy troops and who knows if they're going to want to do what they want to do. So
there's not a lot of C3 on the Chinese side, right? Because it's mostly peasants that are rising up out of the villages and charging at the nationalists. So it helps simulate the chaos of that that you don't necessarily get in like World War II, on like,
you talking about Chinese?
Yeah, we're talking about the Boxer Rebellion.
Oh, early Chinese.
Yeah, early Chinese. Yeah. So I was just saying that like the whole randomly intern, random unit activation thing, I thought worked really well for that scenario in particular. I don't know that I like it in games like, let's say, Moderns, for example, an operational modern level game. I feel like it's a little too chaotic and doesn't really represent modern C3 in that way. So it does work really well in that scenario, and I think it'd work really well for a lot of colonial games. So.
Yeah, the Men That Would Be Kings really. Again,
it's
I think
fun.
I mentioned too. Fred Askew's been kind of showing me the Sword in the Flame, and then I'm like, wait a minute here. I'm reading the Sword in the Flame now. It has a same kind of feel, but again, like you mentioned, streamlined, maybe a little bit more up to date.
It's just modern, It's 80s rules design versus 20 teens, So there's going to be some changes, but I think it gets a lot of the feel that Sword in the Flame has without a lot of the clunkiness. And
what system are you talking
about? The Men Who Would Be Kings, published by Osprey.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Osprey, right?
Yeah.
Publishers.
So Brian, I bumped into Evan here at the con,
Evan, what's up, man?
and we were playing in the game. And I really wish I had pictures of that. Well, I do have some pictures, but I didn't prep them. But it was a cool looking game. 15 millimeter Boxer Rebellion. I don't know exactly the scenario, but there were troops everywhere. It looked like
It's the push to Peking. What was it? Yeah, I think Peking. Yeah. I can't remember. I got so invested in the game, the story of the game. You know, I kind of like almost forgot the scenario story because it was just so much drama was going on all the time, and something interesting was always happening, which is a virtue, which is a signal that that scenario was really well done, and also the rule set is very fun too. And I played with Ben's dad, Doug, and he has limited experience in wargaming, and he was able to pick up the game very quickly and make interesting choices and have a lot of fun with it too. So I think that's important for con games. Like I love crunchy games too, but for a con, I think it's best to kind of keep it on the simpler end and limiting too much randomness in certain situations. Because in his deck of cards, he had ways to mitigate that because there were so many extra actions and things. But on like Black Powder, sometimes without house rules, doesn't make a great con game because it's like, oh, here's my brigade, I fail my command roll, and I have to sit here for half an hour. You know, I don't think that makes for a good convention game.
It's funny because I have to disagree with you because a lot of my con games are narrative based. So there's a lot of like craziness. People are doing their own thing. It's not structured. But again, I'm not doing like blocks of troops. You can't do a whole lot with pike and shot, and like unless it's a skirmish. But I try to make con games really unique. Because, like if you're playing bolt action, you can go anywhere in the country on a weekend and play bolt action. But if you put all these special missions that no one knows about or whatever, it makes the con game pretty unique.
Oh, I agree. I was speaking from the mechanic standpoint of like random activations and Black Powder and how like you cannot move your troops, and if you're only commanding a brigade, well, by the rules as written, you fail a command roll, you don't get to do anything that turn movement wise.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I agree, the chaos stuff, the narrative element, that's incredible. Did you run games at Millennium?
Oh yeah, I signed up for 3. I signed up for 3, but I ended up rolling 6 different games.
Oh wow, okay. What'd you run?
Yeah. I was doing some weird war stuff.
Okay. What system?
I have my own system, but I also did Shadows over Normandy and Dust Tactics.
Oh, I like Dust Tactics. That's a fun game.
Yeah. So all well received. A good time.
Good. Glad to hear it.
So you had three games scheduled, but you just ran 3 others because other people were asking?
Yeah, there were empty tables and I just took them.
Yeah, there were quite a few cancels from GMs. I noticed this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
it happens, but
Saturday was ridiculous, man. I mean, there were people standing around not playing. And I'm like, there's an empty table here. I'm just gonna throw something on there and see if anybody wants to play.
Oh, good for you, man. You probably saved the con for some people for sure.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, man, it's like if people are paying money and they can't sit down in a game, dude, it's
not a good look.
One of my things is if someone's standing there that wants to play, I'll work them in. I'll just get you in. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because that's, we're all there to game. And if you're paying a ticket and you can't game, that's no bueno.
Yeah. There's actually quite a few people I saw that could only make it up for like a day too. So they weren't there the whole weekend. So if they come up on that Saturday and all these games are canceled and no one's letting other people in, it's like, oh, well, maybe I don't go next year. So that's of course the worst case scenario.
That's worse.
The only complaint that I really have with MillenniumCon, although I haven't been in really gone in a few years, but I know 2 people that just didn't go because the games fill up within 30 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot. I registered it like 3 days after it was launched. So the website was launched and you could register for games. And I had a real hard time finding games to get into that interested me. And I have a pretty broad interest range. So, because a lot of them were just full, like you were saying that. And I don't know if there's a way they can get around that. Maybe just have more encouragement for more GMs or.
Well, Brian might have mentioned it, have an open gaming area.
Hey, that's a great idea. Yeah. But
again,
I don't know how
you lose table space for like hosting games. So, I mean, it's a weird, I would say if the table clears up, boom, you get it until the next guy. Like we played a game, and some guy needed to set up a Gettysburg behind me, and I just got it off real quick so he could do his thing. But I was able to entertain 5 people during that lull.
Maybe Millennicon has outgrown the Wyndham.
So you're the 20th person that said that in my experience, Matt.
Oh.
So for this weekend, everyone last weekend everyone was saying, oh, maybe Millennium Con's outgrown the Wingate, and not to mention all of the cancellations. Well, I know 2 people personally that they paid for rooms there, and they got to the hotel, and the hotel's like, oh, you don't have a room here, and they had to deal. In some cases, 2 days of dealing with their support teams to get refunds.
That hotel,
is no bar too,
is a piece of shit. I mean, I stayed there. Actually, one of my friends wasn't able to come, and he let me have his room. There's no Wi-Fi in the rooms.
What?
One of the elevators
is 2022. What the hell?
Dude, and check this out. There's 2 electric car charge-ins in the fucking parking lot, but they don't have Wi-Fi in the rooms.
I couldn't believe they didn't have Wi-Fi in the convention center. I thought that was bad enough because in this day and age, everyone's using a web-based POS for all the vendors and stuff. And when I was helping Game Castle, I was running Black Powder demos at their booth. I had Tom, the owner of Game Castle, is a very nice guy. He had to borrow my phone's hotspot for a while because he was having phone issues, and he's like, "There's no Wi-Fi," and he wasn't the only one that was like, "Oh my god, why is there no Wi-Fi?"
Yeah. Well, one of my friends is an IT guy, and he was trying to, break in or whatever. There wasn't even a network there. There wasn't even
what?
There wasn't even anything to get to. He thought maybe it was down or maybe it was passcoded or whatever. We couldn't even find one.
Wow.
So
how nice?
You say it's outgrown it, and I think you're probably right. But the one problem with that too is that if they do a new venue, it's going to be closer to San Antonio because that's where they're based. And then the price, because if they're going to get a bigger venue, we're going to be paying for it. Well, I think MillenniumCon has to stick with the free GM. If you run games, you get in for free. I think they have to stick with that because that is going to bring that variation to play.
Absolutely.
Oh, totally. I haven't seen a convention that doesn't do that.
Yeah.
It's given. You're gonna paint all that stuff, pack up all your stuff. I mean,
it's a lot of work, and also the weeks leading up, months leading up to the con. Painting all this stuff, like you mentioned, Matt, and also the play testing you have to do too, ideally, right? And it's a lot of work, and usually a teamwork too. I know Alan Spencer, who won the Biff Kuhn Award for his game, his midway game. He gave a very pleasant shout out to all the people that helped him play test that scenario because that was a big effort for them.
He's up in Waco, and every weekend him and his crew get together and play up there. So if you guys are local, like Waco, I can't remember the it's like a comic shop, coffee shop, or
it's something. Yeah.
Which one of them closed, and I think they used 2 or 3 of them. They even had one in a bar, I think, in the back that they used. I don't know very much about it, but well, that's interesting. MillenniumCon moving out of the Wyndham. You're right, though. It might go down to San Antonio more. It probably would, wouldn't it?
It probably would, but also there's a lot of people from Dallas, who drive down. I don't know.
Oh, that's true too. It's central.
I think Austin's is still an okay play, like location being central to where most of these people are coming from. And it's increasingly becoming more coordinated, but there are a lot of Austin locals playing historical war games, but scattered all over. I know that I'm trying at Game Castle to help bring us all back together to have a store where you can play historicals at, and Game Castle's been incredibly supportive of that. So
I was about to say, a lot of stores don't want you to play product that they're not selling.
Well, they actually they're starting to sell it now. It's doing pretty well.
That's cool.
Yeah, right now it's 15 World War II, starting to bring in Saga stuff. We're to start Saga League, I think, in January there, because we have some fantasy and sci-fi players who see our stuff and our tables because we only play with painted models, have nice terrain, and they're like, "This looks cool," and I'm like, "Okay, let's get a good intro game, into Historics." And Saga is one of the several really good games. I think I don't want to speak out for other people, but I think Bolt Action might be at one point making a return to Game Castle as well. So yeah, so just a little shout out for Game Castle, I guess.
Cool.
They treated us very well, so I feel like I need to do it because they're awesome.
I'm in Temple. There's nothing here.
Oh no, oh man. I'm lucky. Yeah, we're very spoiled that we got a good community growing at Game Castle. But yeah, it's hard to get like you said, a lot of stores don't want you playing in there if you're not playing product that they push. And I don't blame them.
I mean, I get it.
Or dealership, you don't want anybody showing off the Toyotas. Well,
yeah.
Well, it's like, I mean, I could see where if it's a good game room, like a big game room with amenities and all sorts of cool terrain or whatever, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem paying like $5 for the day.
No, I wouldn't either.
To support the store, or whatever. But I mean, that's about as far, because I mean, we got to be honest here, guys. This isn't a cheap hobby.
No.
So, disposable cash for most people is almost zero, and especially the young. I mean, so I mean, you got to figure a way to bring people in to play, and then you got to sell product because people are going to buy online because it's usually cheaper. So these shops, these brick and mortars, they're against the wall to begin with, and they got to be nimble and think of ways to maybe like offer awesome tables with great terrain and play Wi-Fi and speakers if you want sound, whatever. I mean, that would be a draw to pay $5 a day, or get like a membership fee or like a membership card or something like that.
I think that's a wise way to do it. I worked at Great Hall Games for a few years, from like 2012 to 2014, 2015, somewhere in there. And one thing, I managed the miniatures department there and the historical miniatures, and that's all we carried. But it's hard to, even if you do have, let's say, a bunch of people come in and play Bolt Action, Warlord's one of the exceptions, and maybe Battlefront is too. It's really hard to stock a lot of historical games. And not to mention, if you stock it, you have to theoretically keep a really deep shelf because, think of how big Flames of War's line is. And every time they launch a new book, it's like, 30 new boxes sometimes in some cases, like when they launched D-Day for Late War.
But as a retailer, I mean, you could also just carry Ertl 172 scale model kits.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a game store owner. I used to own a miniatures company. I know what it's like being a small fry. The products that I had to make were shit that no one else made because I can't make a squad of Panzer Grenadiers because Warlord, Artisan, 100 other companies have, and they have that customer base. So I got to make shit that no one else has made and then just ride that train until some big guy does the same thing. So, I mean, shops might need to be creative, buy, stock the big ticket, game companies, but also give other people alternatives,
distribution is just so hard, especially with the cost of shipping and everything going. Because the average cut that stores are getting is 40%, and so if they don't get free shipping, it's
I think the way of the future, stores are going to be 3D printer ports.
Yeah, I think we might have a reinvention of stores as a service in the form of like what you were saying with, hey, we have table space, buy a membership, you can have club days and come in here and play. We have the terrain, all that stuff. We sell stuff too, but to help pay that rent, they can really leverage the communities, $5 a week or a month or whatever it is, however they price it. But like you said, it has to be inexpensive.
What's the store? There's one store that does that, or there might even be multiple.
There's one store I know of that does it. That Wonko's, right?
Oh, Wonko's does it now. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's $10, but you get the table for the whole day.
Ooh, 10 bones.
But I mean,
that's a chunk of change.
But I don't know if it's per player or if it's just like you guys can all go in and buy. Everyone throws in a couple bucks and you get a table for the day. I've never played out Wonko, so
I mean, brick and mortars. They got to reinvent themselves because the retail store is going to be dead in our lifetime. It's all going to be internet. And like I was saying, like 3D printed, like they'll start, they'll get the 3D printers will sell their rights to these guys to produce it and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I could see like stores almost turning into clubhouses where they do sell product, but it's not about that. It's about trying to get those membership fees. So people, and then they'll have segmented rooms and, all
like the
that
UK.
Yeah.
That's how they do it in the UK. Is there's clubs everywhere, but I want to like drill into the data and figure out what are their costs, versus the United States, because I know that Rob and some of the other more grognard members of the Austin community had looked into it years ago after Great Hall closed, and they were like, "There's just no way we could ever, it would be so expensive for everybody to throw money in to pool for a rent for a place."
I mean,
so my idea of renting an apartment in downtown Austin on a penthouse of like,
hell yeah, or drive 10 minutes outside into the rural and get a big ass storage shed thing.
As long as it has AC, we're good to go. Yeah.
I mean, it just depends on. I mean, honestly, I would be willing to drive a little bit to get to a cool place that's comfortable and big enough, and you can do your own thing and not have to worry about the other people coming in, the card players or whatever, getting whatever. But I mean, there you go. There's $1 million idea, man. Just figure it out.
Well, I've been thinking numbers. Christmas is coming up, right? We live in a city of 1 million people. And, I mean, what's the percentage of war games? We should have a bunch of war games around here. Don't you think we should have a Christmas party? So I've been kind of thinking about it. That and maybe like a quarterly thing. So I started thinking like, okay, England, of course, they do the churches, and the churches, I think they let them for free. I don't know about that, but I'm pretty sure. I almost started thinking about checking in with those. What was the other thing? I have the Wells Branch community where I live has this big rec center, and you can rent out, I think for a day. No, actually, you can rent it out, and it's, I don't know, 640, 60, but you get 6 tables in there at least. But the other thing is I could set up a monthly thing, call it a community thing, and everybody could go to it. It wouldn't matter. It'd be free.
I mean, you think? I mean, I don't know the legality of it, but I mean, could that be like organizing some sort of, if you maybe like the entrance fees going to the homeless drive or some shit, and you can get all that stuff written off as some sort of like something like that. Because I know a lot of the British groups will do like cans for the homeless, or this is going to veterans or whatever, and I bet you they get a tax deduction or something.
Oh, you're thinking of the community center that would do that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know I don't know the particulars of
it. But that following that train of thought, perhaps there are other owners of real estate, in Austin, whether it's city or private, that
we can write it off.
That might also be open for us doing a community event, right? Nonprofit, and in like maybe we all chip in like $5 or something like that, and at the end it goes to a charity or whatever to help support the fact that we're not just taking space, we're actually being proactive members of the community in this process. Maybe we can get city council to help with that actually too.
Yeah, interesting.
That's you guys. That's awesome. Man.
Yeah, that's true.
That's like I'll be a stranger in a strange land over there. Man.
We'll dress you up in a tie and suit, and you can march in there.
What is that? You're lucky. Hey, you're lucky I have pants walking out the front door.
So check this out. The other place I was thinking about doing it is Mabry, Camp Mabry.
Yeah.
And I played a bolt action tournament there once.
Oh, no way. They've done it before? I didn't know that. But
Matt, I might have an into that also, by the way. I'll talk to you later about that. I know people there.
Okay. But that would be pretty cool. I mean, imagine having a Christmas event there. A few games set up and you can't drink on the place. No eggnog, but
you can't drink on military bases?
No, I don't know. I just figured no.
I think you can actually. They have social events there all the time and stuff, so I would assume so. It's
a pretty cool. They got a pretty cool army museum. That's where we play.
Yeah.
I was actually interviewed that bolt action game. They interviewed me on like Arms Forces television or some crap.
Really?
Big fat guy go, I play with Army Man. all the soldiers would be like, geez, dude.
So yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, personally, I think the gaming community in Austin should kind of get like a central a little bit. Yeah. And believe me, I don't even know the landscape after being here 12 years, understanding who's where, what's what, who posts where, what covers what.
Oh,
I'm just lost, dude.
I'm in the process of building a website actually for.
Is that going to fix the issue?
Well, because here's the thing. So what you just brought up, who's where, who's who, who's on Facebook, who's not on Facebook, who's got that guy's number, who doesn't, right?
First.
So I have reconnected with probably around like 20, maybe 30 Austinites that are playing historical wargamings that are spread out everywhere and playing at some people's houses. Some are interested, but kind of stepped away because there's not a central location. And I can go on and on. So what we decided to do at Game Castle, just because for us right now, that serves as an okay central location for the majority of these gamers I've met, is getting organized play there on Sundays. And the problem I ran into after that was, and Benjamin Ernest has been helping me with this, is a lot of people don't do Facebook, and that's how we've been mainly organizing things, especially the older gentlemen in the community, that might not get on social media.
You know who you are. I know a bunch
yeah, right. So I thought, the website I'm building is really not really it's just an event calendar, basically. It's an event calendar that has a forum. So the idea is that everyone can start sharing with when public games are being played in one location that's not linked to a proprietary IP like Facebook or something like that. We would have complete independent control over it. And so
everybody knows about it.
Yeah, well, so I've been pushing. So I've made some flyers, just with a QR code on the back. Still finishing the website, but it's going to be advertised heavily at Game Castle. And I'm going to be bringing it to any con I go to, so like Mini Recon. I will be bringing that stuff with me too. Mini Recon's in April. It's a war game convention. It'll be at the Veterans of Foreign Wars building in North Austin.
That's an awesome clubhouse there.
It is. Yeah. I went to Mini Recon last year.
I was there last year.
Oh, cool. Would you play in the bolt action tournament?
No, I was hosting some games that no one played.
Well, it was the first con. It was, I had one full game, and then my other game, I only had one other person show up. But I think it's promising.
I probably won't go back because the games that I play, they're all strict historicals. So I play Weird World War II, but it just wasn't in the no interest. So I probably won't be going back to that because again. I'm lugging that crap up there, and there's no, it's just like, it's not personal on them. It's just like you don't go to a venue that no one's going to show any interest.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Yeah.
The burgers were like $2, and they were like the best burger in Austin I had.
There's some pretty good burgers.
Yeah.
Did you go?
I went for like an hour or two one of the days. I
was there the first day, like Saturday. I think.
So they're changing it. So they're only it'll be one day. It was a bolt action tournament that Sunday, and then the Saturday is going to be the GM day where the GMs are going to set up all the games. They're doing it that way. Martin Boakes, I believe I pronounced his last name correctly. He's one of the guys leading the charge at Mini Recon, and they, after evaluating how it went last time, they decided that that way all the bolt action players, because they pretty much weren't playing any other games besides bolt action. That way it gives most of the haul over to GMs to run events.
I got a question for you. I'm not sold on tournaments at cons. I don't know if I'm sold on that because
I'm not a tournament player, so I'm indifferent. I
think they're full every time they have them, but I don't know. It's just it keeps those people who play it. That's it. That's all they see. They don't see different games, they don't see different products, and again, that's the games they want to play. But I'm not quite sold on having conventions with tournaments, including all the other stuff. It just seems like maybe the tournament should have their own thing, and then just think all those tables. I mean, that's what, like 15, 20 tables? I don't know, like 12.
One question I guess I would have for the Millennium
We don't
Con.
need any more games. We need more players, right?
Yeah, that's what
So-
my question for MCon was. Did we run out of space for GMs?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you've got, because I know they had, I think they had a Saga. Didn't they have a Saga tournament or some kind of historical? They had a BattleTech tournament, I think, and then the Bolt Action.
They had a Flames of War tournament.
Or Flames of War. So you've got all those tournaments, and and you got people standing around, man. And I guarantee, if those tables were available, I bet you somebody would play games on it, or host from it. But I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a guaranteed. It's a guaranteed ticket sale,
Yeah, that's the thing. That room was the most busy room that I've ever seen. I'm not like in the con. I mean,
yeah.
I think it comes down to, did they run out of GM space? Like, did the tournaments obstruct other GMs from running games? If the answer is yes, then I think I tend to agree with you. But if the answer is no, there was still more room available for other GMs to run things, then it's good traffic for the con, and it's not hindering any other games from being run. So, yeah, I don't know.
The other thing is, I think it's the gateway. I mean, it's people get in there and they see they have to see the other stuff a little bit, right? So
yeah.
I mean, I look at Bolt Action as not a gateway. I guess it's a fun game. People like it quite a bit, but it definitely sparks. I mean, someone's going to start questioning, like, are these painted right? Or what is this badge done with that, right? And that just leads to the whole, like...
Got to get your buttons right, Matt.
And there's a plethora of responses to those remarks as well, depending on your attitude style.
Yeah.
But it's definitely... I don't know. I guess it's a fun game to play, but also definitely a gateway game. And if we have there was like, I don't know how many people were in that room going to that con, but it was the biggest group, I think. They get exposed to the other stuff. So I think it's okay. I'm not a tournament guy, but
I also
whether it is taken away from the more creative kind of like obscure games, then I would have a problem with it.
Yeah, and I'm also curious what vendor relationships, what role they have to play in that, because I know Warlord is a big part of Millennium, right? I wonder if Warlord was like really like, hey, we should really have a Bolt Action tournament at the con. I don't know if that might play a role as well.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think the vendor room is the big turnout for Millennium Con. I think
it's a flea market.
The flea market is massive, and then just the variation of games being played. I don't think I'm not dogging on any of the vendors that were there, but those are vendors that everybody can have access to. But when you have this flea market, when Matt brings all of his 1960s 15 millimeter whatevers, everybody just drool. I sold every single thing I sold everything. I had a full table, everything sold, everything.
Good.
I went to the game. I went to the game with $200 in my pocket. I came home with $400 in my pocket.
I had to go to the bank to get more money because of the flea market.
Yeah.
So.
But and again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just speaking for myself. But when I go to a con, I mean, like the small sellers that are selling shit that you never see. Because I mean, Warlord's everywhere. All the shops carry it. So, I mean, them being there or not is not a big deal because there's that exposure. But like, some of these smaller companies that are selling old stuff or unique things, that's something different.
Yeah, for me, like friender-wise, I just look for things I don't want to pay shipping from the UK for. Which honestly, I don't really buy a lot of Warlord products. So it's mainly Sherwood had some rule books, like that new Victorian skirmish game. I can't remember the name of, but a few things like that. But yeah, I spent most of my money at the flea market by far.
Well, I tell you that the days of the distributor are coming back with the shipping insanity in the world now. You're going to have the North American distributor of whatever, because you're not going to have, like it used to be, just a customer to the shop anymore. It's just too expensive to ship across the ocean.
Well, right now with the exchange rate, it's actually cheaper in some cases to buy products.
Is it really?
Yes, yeah. So like one of my friends bought the Battlefront terrain bundles at 20% off on the pound, and he ended up saving. I think it worked out to like 30% off when the currency changed.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you can, although it's kind of bounced back up to like I think $120 again. I just bought some Gringo 40s figures, and it was higher than when I was buying my Empress figures. So, but yeah, shipping $20. Yeah,
I bought a couple things, Sarissa and Foreground, that were shipped out of England last year.
So have you bought from Sarissa before? Because they're amazing.
Dude, that's what I heard, and then I got the models, and their Foreground's models are way better.
Well, Foreground is out of business, unfortunately.
Yeah, Sarissa, dude, I will show you a Sarissa model.
I have a bunch of them.
Do you?
The MDF buildings?
Yeah, I found them lacking. Oh yeah, a little bit. So like, you know how they engrave like stones in a chimney, in the wood, right?
Yeah.
So they only do it on half of the side, and there's a couple other pieces where they didn't do the engraving. I wasn't very impressed with them.
I have a whole like at least a 6x4 28mm Old West setup from them, and then I also have a bunch of 20mm Southeast Asia buildings for Vietnam from them, and I love all of them. They're all great.
You know, I bet they're better at 20. They seem to. I think they probably focus more on 28 and make those better. Probably. I think 15. But you know, I mean, he's been doing.
Also, the buildings you got could have been earlier designs too. You know how that works.
Yeah, because I heard there are problems when you separate some of the sheets, that it kind of lost some of the. No, I thought that was Sarissa.
It also, there's a lot of MDF manufacturers out there right now. So yeah, it could be a lot of people, but Sarissa is so inexpensive for like you can get a 28mm building for like $18. And their shipping starts at £5 and usually doesn't go above like 10 at most because it's all flat shipped. So I got my Old West stuff shipped for $15, and it was an entire 6x4 town.
At the Millennium Con world famous flea market, some guy was selling a miniature building authority. You know, the resin.
Yeah.
$20 a pop.
Oh wow! Holy cow!
Dude, my friend bought every single one on the table.
I believe it. That's a steal. Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean,
telling you, shipping the world, because both Foreground and Sarissa charge me 20 pounds or $20 for, maybe that's VAT. Is that difference in the shipping?
No, so we don't get VAT. VAT's different because we're not UK citizens, so we're not gonna
pay. But we still get hit with VAT on their end. They work the VAT in their sales.
Yeah, that's what it is. So both of those companies were charging a $20 flat VAT fee, I believe, along with shipping.
Oh, okay.
And so I look at it as being, you got to add on the $20 automatically, and then look at the prices. But man, if I could get it away, I mean, if it didn't have the VAT, it would be super cheap. You know, I mean, I wonder what happened then. I wonder why. Maybe they just don't work in England or something. They charge me VAT. They don't charge anybody else VAT. But
to be fair, I might have missed it. You know, when I was looking at the invoice, but I just don't recall being charged that.
Anyway, they're great. I imagine the Weston's like super cool.
Oh, I've only built a few of them so far. They're incredible.
Have you ever tried knuckle duster stuff?
Their figures? Or no, I have not, because they're a different scale from the rest of them.
Oh, that's right. You're playing small, right?
28s. Knuckle dusters are 32.
About 32, yeah.
Yeah.
They're great.
They're lovely. Awesome. Yeah, I love them, but like, I got the bunch of the Great Escape games, Gunfighters, and some North Star stuff, and I got a variety of things.
I just remembered I have a bunch of. Does the old Foundry ones fit in with the size?
Yeah.
12 of them. I'm not going to do anything with.
Okay.
So they're awesome models. They
still sell them. They're great models. I've eyeballed them. Yeah.
I got a bunch for you. So
that's weird. You just talk about War Games Foundry. I just bought some of their Fantasy Elf.
Oh, nice.
Naked chicks for my nymph army. Yeah.
Nice. Foundry's
It's
got a lot
always
of
weird
cool
with
odds
like.
and ends in their line.
I guess they teamed up with is it Harbinger or who Warmonger Miniatures? I guess they all own. I don't know if Foundry owns Warmonger or Warmonger owns them now. That's a pretty cool line of like fantasy and some like stuff in
What is
it's
it?
pretty good.
Warmonger? I've never heard of them.
Warmonger, they got
Yeah.
some really nice stuff. It's mostly
Huh.
fantasy though.
Mm.
But Foundry's old school, man. That's been hard charging since I want to say the early 80s, mid 80s.
Wasn't that kind of where the Perrys kind of? No, they were famous before that. Then they made it there, and then I think
Perry Foundry was one of the big jobs that the Perry brothers had. So like all the 20 mil World War II that Foundry sells today was sculpted by the Perry brothers. Just off the top of my head, that's one of the major lines that they sculpted. But
they got a great.
They
got a great set of down like German air crew, which is cannot be beat.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
So I was eyeing their Samurai a decade ago, and they got a really good looking range of Samurai too.
I'm partial to the Perry Samurai range. I think I haven't seen them. I've seen them in the flesh. I haven't seen the Foundry ones in the flesh, but I just love Perry.
Perrys are small. You know, they're doing true 28.
They're true 28s. Yeah, they're not heroic, that's for sure.
Well, you know, we say true 28. You know, scale creep is so bad.
It used to be 25, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And now all 15s are like 18s, really. Yeah, you know, so like all 15s are like tiny.
It's crazy. I remember what was it? Oh God, who was that? They came out with 40 millimeters. I'm sure that is a
Old
British
Glory, Sash and Saber, Old Glory.
No,
they were one of the big pushers.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm like, dude, you're going on a totally off-kiltered scale.
Yeah.
Good luck.
We could have stuck with model 172nd and HO and just gone with that. That would have made our lives so much easier.
Those are the scales. I mean, if you want to save money, dude, you got you know the wargaming companies, you got the model building companies, and hell, you can even get some toy soldier companies in that scale too.
Oh, the die-cast models that come pre-painted with decals and stuff on it. Some of them will actually look really good, and it's like $20 out of the box, painted decals at 20 millimeters. Oh yeah, like I have a couple of Hueys in 172nd for my 20 mil non-games, and for like $25, it's completely assembled, painted, decaled, everything. It's like
gorgeous.
Yeah, and they're nice.
10 times better than anything I could do. Right?
And you know what? It's not even. It's the time, dude. I might be willing to throw down some extra cash. Just I don't have to fuck with it. I can just play. You know.
Absolutely, yeah.
So.
Yeah, painting is actually like a huge part of the hobby for me, though. So I don't buy painted figures usually ever. Occasionally it'll be pre-painted vehicles, but otherwise, especially infantry, I always paint all my own.
Yeah,
I buy them just to paint. Honestly, I love painting.
I used to be you 20 years ago, dude.
Yeah, I paint. So I have insomnia, so I only get like 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night. So I paint between 1 and 6 hours a day, every day. So like every day after MCon, I painted after MCon every day.
I think I paint about 1 to 6 minutes a day for sure.
1 to 3 minutes a day. I know. I go in spurts, man. I painted some line infantry Brits, and I'm like, that was 2 months ago, and I still like. I wake up and I can't.
It's like just you close your eyes and passing through your face.
I'll do those straps for you, Matt. I got you covered.
You can also look at them and you've done work, but they don't change after 3 days if you only do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're kind. That's why I'm liking the painting challenge. I've gotten away from like, okay, I'm done with that. Let's just fart around and do.
Well, you know,
I bought some figures that like. What was it? Coruscant. I've never used them before. Those, and I'm like, I'm paying. They're Coruscant's awesome because they.
Coruscant's great service too.
Nuts, and so I'm just having fun painting those up and doing dioramas right now before I get back to the
painting stuff.
When I host con games, I specifically design it to shit that isn't painted. So it forces me. I got to paint that crap for the con. can't go up there with unpainted stuff and be murdered.
Dude, it's the ultimate motivation in this hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I gotta get this freaking division done, and we should make in the movies, you know, where they have like, we need to fix this car and get it, the brakes on and all that, and detail it up in 3 days. We could do I need to get these 3 divisions ready for the
I'll
con.
construct it. You paint it. I'll base it. It's done.
Still in paint and everything, but yeah, painting. That's awesome that you like that. I wish, you know, it's like, I wish I had that motivation for it. Because
it does, honestly though. Like I've been wargaming for like, I don't know, 14 years, and it's come and gone over the years. You know, like when I was in school, in college, still I didn't paint anywhere. Like rarely would I paint. I was just too tired and exhausted all the time just from work and school. But
and drunk. Come on, dude.
And so, like 2 years ago, when I graduated, ever since then, I paint all the time now, because it's like all those years where I didn't get to paint at all. It's like all culminated into this massive energy to get things done, and it also helps too with if you have players to play with, right?
Yeah.
Like I've been playing a game castle like 2-3 times a week in some cases, and so I'm just constantly pumping out figures because we're like, oh, let's do this. You bring these figures, I'll bring these. You know, throw together a World War II game, or for me, Vietnam. I have a huge Vietnam collection in 3 scales because I'm a loser.
Do you have kids?
No kids, no girlfriend.
That's another thing.
That's the big thing. That's why when my friends who are married are like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, "I'm single and no kids, man."
That's it. That's a big help. That's a big boon for painting.
It pay off in about 12 years because you get them painting, and if you have a few of them, you got
right? Yeah.
One
assembly line going.
Paint this stuff.
Who wants McDonald's? Well, you got to get that sergeant done.
It's like, we'll go to the movie.
Today we're having a Putin holiday for 8 hours.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Get to it.
That's their chores. I'll mow the lawn. Paint the figs.
I got a buddy whose kids, he's up in Canada. His kids love painting, so he just like, here you go, guys, paint all these orcs.
Here's all these lovely models.
I know what they look like. He doesn't care what they look like, just as long as they're painting. And they're just like all day long. I'm like, I'll send you a couple money, send you a package of stuff, see if they do the same thing for me.
So talking about paint, check this stuff out. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna fiddle around here, and I got. Can you guys see this?
Yeah, Pro Acryl. Those are amazing paints.
So Game Castle, I actually won a raffle prize, and I can't remember the last time.
Man.
But they gave me a box with. What's interesting is I used to not give a shit about what paints I use. I'm like, as long as they work, but I was kind of dabbling with some different stuff lately. But they added about 6 of these guys in the base colors and stuff. You guys use this? Do you know anything about it?
Incredible. It's some of the best paints you buy. So the coverage on them is spectacular. So like the ivory, you can almost paint it over black and it covers.
What?
It is insane. And they come pre-mixer bottles. I mean, and they're not too thick. Like I don't even have to thin them. And you can use them out of the bottle, or you can use the dropper. So some people prefer an open lid bottle when they paint, you know, so that way they don't have to keep, you know, putting on a wet palette or a dry palette or whatever. But those Pro Acryl paints, you can just crack open the bottle and dip from there on the sides, or you could use the dropper. Vallejo is amazing. I also am a big fan of AK Interactive. Their new generation of paint is.
That's for the cheap bastards out there. It's like 50 cents, man.
I have right in the corner of my painting desk. I have like 30 of those things.
Heck yeah!
And basing, and also like the browns and greens are really good on them too.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they're you use them for dry brushing too. They're really good for that. Like, yeah. So I have a ton of paint. I actually have like those nail file acrylic shelving units.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got my whole like wall over here is just filled with them.
Cool.
Yeah, but because when I go to the store and they don't have models I want, I just pick up a couple paints to support the store, you know, and just build this.
Yeah, that's what I do too. That's the only thing I'm like, all right, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I'll buy a couple paints. You know, there we go.
I usually buy a soda, something like that. I don't know.
What got
so
there,
paintbrush. You guys can't see that, right?
It's a monument, right?
I thought it was a pin.
Wait, it's huge, man. But it looks like it has a very fine tip, which I hear that Well, back in the days, everybody wanted the smallest, like the smaller the brush, the shorter, like thinking that's better. But I hear that you use these, and I've started going to the medium-sized ones just with a fine tip, and they're easier to control. I'm kind of happy about this thing too.
Those monument brushes are very good, and you're right, because when you have a bigger size brush, like a size 2, for example, that I would use on 15 or even 10 mil models. Actually, did you see my Bretonians at the con there at the Game Castle booth?
Yeah.
I painted those mostly with a size 2 brush. So it's because it holds paint much, much better, and the flow is going to be much more consistent when you're brushing with it. So you're not going to get streaky lines when you're trying to paint. And then you go to reload the brush and you come back and now you're dragging paint that's already started to dry. It's going to create streaks in your paint, which makes thinning even more important, which is a pain in the ass. So really enjoy a little bit of a bigger brush that has a really fine point.
That's cool, man. I'm kind of excited to try these now. Actually,
they're excellent. I have like 7 or 8 of them. I love them.
Yeah, right on.
The brown wash is very subtle. I'm not a huge fan of it. I would only use it in certain instances. The black wash is pretty good. I'm still a big fanboy, honestly, of the either Army Painter washes or the Citadel washes, even though they're so overpriced, but they do the job really well. So I don't know.
Which one, the Citadel one?
I like the Citadel one. The Games Workshop ones a lot, but they did change their formula. I think probably not for the best in my opinion. So I might go back to Army Painter more, because Army Painter ones are also really cheap. It's like $2.50 or $3 a bottle. Or you could be like Scott McKinley, shouting out names now, down in South Austin. He mixes his own washes for just dirt cheap, right? Get some floor polish and some artist ink, and it's medium, and you're exactly. See, you're the smart one here.
It's like it's like wood stain or thin it out,
as long as, or flow improver. If you don't want to do any of that, you can liquid flow improver. But like once you figure out the formula for your own mix, then you're good to go forever for cheap. Which I want to do just for terrain, honestly, because I would never wash terrain with Citadel paint. I'm not made of money. That would be very expensive.
I don't think I buy anything Citadel.
What's that?
I don't think I buy anything GW.
I like some of their contrast paints for base coats on like some models, but otherwise I don't really buy Citadel very often.
Their washes are what I use, and then if I need some like wonky color or something like that, I'll buy it there. Oh, and I also use their metallics, just because I haven't tried anything else, and they seem to
I have one. They're bolt gun metal.
Yeah, that's the classic.
It's like an epic, like metal. Yeah. It's like the best metal.
I really recommend Scale 75 metallics if you can find them. They're kind of hard to find locally. Lionheart Hobby in Kyle, Texas has the line, and they're excellent. You can also get them online too. They're a little bit pricey. They're not as pricey as Citadel. They're like between Citadel and like Vallejo. They're like in between there price range wise. But man, it's like it's not too thick, which I love, and it still has the same intensity that you would get out of like a Citadel metallic. So it's just a lot easier to play with that way, and also doesn't wreck your brushes as much, in my opinion, when you're doing long painting sessions.
So check this out. I'm probably going to do a video on King's Hobby.
Yeah.
And they carry Scale 75.
Oh, cool.
There 2 days ago when I bought a leather color. I didn't know too much about them, but I'll see how that goes with that. And then I went absolutely, this is crazy. I went absolutely berserk, and I bought like every brand of paints leather that's in the freaking world. Because I don't know why. I just had this thing like I want the color of leather. And I might even do a video on that. But so I got 10 bottles of color leather sitting back there, and one of them Scale 75.
I think I haven't used that one. My bet is it's probably going to be your favorite, because Scale 75 is an art company first, and they took all that tech and expertise and they put it into their model color lines. And I know Vallejo does technically too, but and AK as well. But I painted a bunch of those.
This is something I won also. So.
Oh, they're awesome.
No. Check this out, Brian. So I'm like, okay. I really didn't look at them all that much at the con. I mean, at 3 feet away kind of thing. I'm like, wow, these guys are nice. Good paint jobs and all that stuff. But I don't know if you can see this. Look at the freaking detail on these.
Yeah, no, it's so especially the shields on the men at arms in particular are so these I would say these have the detail of like a 20 millimeter figure on a 10. So it does make them kind of cumbersome to paint in mass. Like it took me a week to paint 2 units of those knights, painting 4 hours a day. Because
yeah, but you put in that. I mean, that there's like
I do put a lot of effort in. Yeah, that's
right.
true.
So it wasn't. Is that the same? Oh, the same ones. Anyway, I got some cap, but these are. And I hope those guys down at the Game Castle get all going on a 10 millimeter fantasy.
So
that would be awesome.
So they are, Matt. The manager at Game Castle, Chris, that's his company, Macaroni Miniatures. In fact, I actually made those labels for the boxes for him before the con, like the night before.
You mean these things that are just like started out of the box?
Yeah. So Chris has a commercial license for the entire Forest Dragon line of miniatures. And if you want miniatures in particular that he hasn't printed yet, you can contact him, and it's just $10 a unit, and he will print them for you with bases or without bases.
Wow, man, that's great. That's definitely. If I was to pop in and not have anything, I would go full blown, on this stuff. It's great looking.
Yeah. It's also pretty affordable.
You say you pay him $10 a month?
A unit, so like that unit.
Oh, a unit. Okay.
So they're traditionally they're sold and marketed for War Master, but of course you could use them for any mass fantasy battle game you wanted. Gotcha. But so you get 3 20 by 40 millimeter stands loaded with dudes for $10. Cool. It's cheap. He looked at how much other companies were selling them, other companies who had the commercial license, and he just kind of undercut them by a little bit. So it's the cheapest way if you don't own a 3D printer to get those models.
Which I don't, and I would
definitely
win it for those.
Commies.
Although, what's that?
That's CCP, man. That's no.
This is funny because I won. This is another thing that came with the thing I won, Brian. And this is exactly what I want. Like, if I could pick any line in the bolt action stuff, this is what I would have picked. So I'm gonna have some fun putting together these. I've never used Warlord figures. I don't think I put together many of the whole like plastics where you put arms on.
I think those are metal.
Oh, good. All right, well,
because they usually only do plastics for like German grenadiers in 44.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Brian, just so you know, this is what Evan, I was talking to you about doing real small scale skirmish.
Yeah.
So I get the what I'm thinking is very scenario driven unit of 10 Chinese run into something horror. Cthulhu, whatever, that kind of stuff.
Like a ridge line of 30 calibers.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the hall was cool. I really don't usually care about that stuff, but
that's some good stuff, man.
So, and the other thing, I just want to. This is what me and Fred Askew's been working on. This is his troops. But I don't know if you guys seen my post about felt. I want to do some massive tables, like 16-foot tables, large, with the World War I guys, and use command decision. But we're using some of Fred's figures for that.
I use felt for like earthworks and foxholes and roads and stuff like that. I also do like mud. It's really good to put down mud and then like deep snow.
Yeah, I've never used it before, and actually at the standing up 3 feet level, I just spray paint certain color over, like a green over a brown, and different levels or different density of the paint, and looks pretty good to me, man.
Oh no, the felt fields that you made were great, and there's no reason to go really heavy and invest in fields, in my opinion. Like in latex fields or something like that, because it's very expensive for how many fields you would need, especially filling out especially the table sizes you're talking about, Matt. That would be prohibitively expensive. I use felt for woods, of course, in particular, and rough ground. Any sort of template I need to delineate terrain, area terrain. And I've been meaning to get some spray paint to do what you did, Matt. You inspired me, Matt, with your fields. I want to do something similar with my templates I use for woods and stuff. To mix in some browns and maybe a little bit of khaki and green, and give it some texture, so it's not just a flat green, piece of felt.
So there's two thoughts on that.
Yeah.
I put stuff on and I'm playing around with it. So I will try to figure out something for you. The problem is finding a good brown and spray paint. It's not super expensive.
Yeah.
Like not the fake artsy brown kind of thing, but it looks natural. What was the other thing I was thinking of?
Have you tried? Sorry, I'll let you go.
No, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, sorry. Have you tried the Krylon camouflage line of spray paints?
Yeah, I do.
So I use their flat blacks and whites.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about trying, because they do make like a brown. It's really dark though. I don't know.
It's too dark.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I do have an airbrush, so I could try that, but I'm lazy. I don't want to freaking clean that thing.
Dude, I have an airbrush and I'm good at it. I hate cleaning the damn thing.
Yeah, I know.
That's that black camo.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Spray paint. That's just spray paint. I mean,
I don't even like dirty my airbrush for priming. I just use rattle cans.
Oh, dude, it's just they're great, but gotta keep them clean, or they just
I mainly use it for terrain, like building, like those like Sarissa buildings. Also for armor, because you're gonna get a nice
armor
coat. If you want a very particular color, it's very easy to do with an airbrush.
I play World War II German, so I use the the ambush.
Yeah.
For airbrush.
Absolutely. That's the way you actually make it look authentic, like it actually sprayed it on.
Those things are hard to use. There's a deep learning curve on airbrushes for sure.
They're cheap though. You can get really cheap ones.
It wouldn't take that long. I invested like one day. I bought one for cheap 5 years ago, never used it. I used it a little bit and it's all fitting stuff, and I'm like, all right, whatever. And then I brought it out maybe a month ago or so, and I'm like, dude, I'm learning this thing. And I spent a couple days on it, and it comes to you. There's a mixture of the paint and all that stuff, and then like the pressure, and there's a lot to it, but it's definitely doable. And I would only use it for terrain because I'm not one of those 28 millimeter like.
Well, they're good for base coats too. Yeah. I mean, just base coat everything with it, and vehicles,
Dude,
20 minutes vehicles.
And I'm done.
That's expected expensive, man. Doing a rattle can, basing a huge army. You get a lot of misspray out of those rattle cans.
Yeah, and then also, one of the nice things, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Vallejo like Air, for example, but they're pre-manufactured for airbrushes. And they are, you just go straight from the bottle to the hopper, to the gravity feed, and you're good to go.
Yeah,
but they're expensive because you go through them pretty quickly, so I only use them for like armor. The no terrain.
It's a small bottle.
Yeah.
That was the thing, man. I bought that stuff thinking I was going to use it on terrain, and I did like a small piece, and I'm like,
I know it's gone, right? It's like
I thought this was going to be economical, and it's like, no, man. So, I'm
still working on. I'm trying to figure out a mixture of thinner flow improver and craft paint. Because that would be great through the airbrush for terrain. That'd be cheap as dirt.
Craft paint doesn't work well there.
I know. Some people, there's YouTubers though that do it, and it depends on the air pressure, and what thinners you're using and all that stuff. It's very fussy, but people do it. So I need to figure that out.
That's funny because I've been wondering myself. I'm like, I thought I'd go that direction I thought it'd be cheaper, and then I bought those bottles, and then I'm like, this ain't gonna work. And I'm like, so what are all these people online using? They're all using airbrushes to do these big projects, but what paint are they buying and what are they doing? So I'm interested. When you find that out, let me know.
Yeah, if I figure it out, I'll let you know.
I use a lot of Tamiya paints for my airbrushing. Yeah.
Well, because they're lacquer based, right? If I remember.
No, they have both, but I use the water based.
Okay. Yeah.
Testers is gone. Well. All their Model Masters is gone.
Yeah.
Testers fell, and that's gonna be rough not getting that Tester dull coat varnish spray.
So it went up before they went under. It went up to $9.50 a can. So I bought from AK a huge 120 milliliter bottle of matte varnish for like $8, So I just run it through my airbrush, and I'll have that thing for at least a year, honestly.
Does it dry, non-cloudy, and all that?
Yeah, because there's no
AK?
aerosol. There's no aerosol stuff that's dealing
Yeah.
with. Because that was the big thing. Was it was very temperature sensitive because of the aerosol. And that's where we get that dust effect. Through an airbrush, you're never going to get that. So I got gloss and matte varnish.
That's cool.
From AK, and it's the brand new formula that's really highly rated. I also got like all the German, Russian, and American armor primers from AK that are pre-mixed, out of the bottle.
That's cool.
So that'll be nice.
Wait, did you guys testers is done?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
testers. Well, they're selling just a handful of paints. That's it. The company was bought by, I can't remember who bought it, and they're just closing the line.
So I know. I mean, they got rid of Model Masters. That was the spray paint that really had natural looking colors.
The enamel stuff, yeah.
And so that went.
So
and then
Tamiya makes they're expensive because they're small cans, but Tamiya does make really good spray.
They're really good
colors. They're very good. But if you're for terrain, it might be a little pricey because it's like $8 a can or something like that.
They're getting hard to find though.
To Lionheart Hobby and Kyle, they sell online. Lionheart Hobby and Kyle has the entire range, and like
Hobby Town has it.
Okay.
They carry that. I don't know what they're in this array of like half of the shelves hold, and you're either getting rid of it or they're reordering it. So, but they have it. So,
okay.
Yeah. Well, guys, you know what? It's been 1 hour and 10 minutes, and it doesn't seem that long. Just jabbering. This was actually. I'm not going to give a shit about how many views. It's just like this was kind of fun. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Hey, I'm always down for geeking out, man. Shit.
I am too.
Right on. So we'll see how this goes. Maybe we'll do it in a week or something, or maybe we'll get something more regular. But
I think that's the best way to get things rolling is regularity, right? Because if people can learn to kind of rely on when it's coming out, then they will tune in more often.
Yeah.
The other thing is that a lot of this stuff goes. I mean, you can it's recorded, right? So you can come back to it too.
Yeah.
So you don't need the actual people at that time, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think talking to you two, we could talk for hours
right.
every week, right? I mean, every week we wouldn't have any problem doing that.
Yeah.
So, add in a couple other people here and there, that kind of stuff. But
sure.
mull it over. I'm freaking beat today, and we can chat about it another time and see where we want to go with this thing.
Yeah, and thanks for putting this together, Matt. It was a lot of fun.
No problem.
Yeah,
man.
just keep us posted with the groups and you're organizing and all that stuff because Austin ain't too far for me.
Yeah, dude, and the idea is we want to eventually have games that are worth a drive to come down and be at all day at game, because Game Castle's open from like 10 to 10 every night, so we could have almost like a mini con in a way, a big event game going on.
10 to 10. Damn, you guys are spoiled.
Oh, we are.
When I was a fucking kid, it was like you're playing on your floor. You didn't have a score. Spoiled.
Absolutely. I'm taking advantage of it as much as I can.
That's great. All right, guys. We'll see you guys and keep gaming.
Take it easy.
All right. Cheers.